before we dive into the reframe, can we just talk a little bit about, what got you to being the goddess or the queen of reframe?
No, I like Goddess of Reframe. We can keep Goddess of Reframe. No need to
Okay, we'll
change
keep
it.
goddess. We'll keep goddess. Yes, yes.
And we can even talk about that too, because that has been something that I've been thinking about, is how to align to the divine light, truth within you, and that is, kind of the ultimate reframe. So I started in this space of kind of customer insights and user experience almost 25 years ago. My very first project was at the NASA Hubble Space Telescope control room. I had to get a bunch of scientists to change a behavior. So they were kind of doing these individual tasks and they needed to work together and they didn't want to work together. So I had to figure out, how do you get people to do something that they don't want to do? In that case, it was a very simple solve. I ended up getting a projector for the back room. They didn't have that. It was 1990 something. And so just the projector forced them to look up. And as they looked up, they would talk to each other. And that was kind of a great example of a signature move that I started to make in this space, where people would be thinking about a problem from this perspective. And I would almost always come in and look at it from a different perspective, almost innately, and then be able to offer a different solution because I was looking at the problem differently. That, really helped my career go fast. I think I got promoted once or twice every year while I worked for someone else. So like very aggressive, achievement oriented.
I promote you too. I mean,
I just kept asking. I mean, for the women listening, I just kept asking. I was tenacious, in my 20s. And I was like, well, what does it take to get more? Because I wanted more money, because I wanted to spend more money. But regardless, so I did, the first digital camera with Kodak. This was a time when people were very used to taking pictures and having a photo box. Like, how do you move them to digital? A lot of the first websites, did a ton of work with NIH, about 5 years across 17 of the 34 institutes to help them move to digital, from their grant application process to just providing the American public with the right information that they can trust on everything, from earaches to cancer. And so did a lot in the medical space, did a lot in finance, because finance paid more than anyone else. So worked with, BlackRock, Capital One, Citibank, a whole number, E-Trade, a whole number of brands to help them understand how to convey information to people so that they do the things that are good for them to do, save money, invest money, things like that. I ended up starting my own company in 2009, and that was a user experience company. We hit the Inc. 5000 a couple of years in a row. I did a TEDx talk. It was just constantly go, go, go. In 2013, I came up with the reframe process. 2015, I launched that book. And so I was so focused on kind of what's next and getting ahead, that it kind of caught up to me, to be honest. And then in 2020, when we had to shut down everything, I actually was one of the most grateful humans on the planet for this virus. And I felt bad about that, but there was no stopping me, from getting ahead. And so I needed, something, at least for me, to stop and take stock of, like, I'm exhausted. The thing with burnout is you don't know you're burned out until you're burned, like, completely. And you're like, huh, yeah, until you're ashes and you're like, huh. Yeah. So it's been a really hard and kind of aligning process. This is why I love what you all talk about and do so much, and why I'm here, to support this community, because that alignment was the key for me, of who I am, what I'm here to offer. And I have two very good friends who saw the power of Reframe about 1.5 years ago when I helped them with a challenge. And, the 9-minute thing is, it is true that, you do get reframed in 9 minutes. I've done over 700 of these in the last year and a half. It's
magical, for sure.
It is really magical. And it's like so Mona, it's like, why do you have to do it in 9? Because people don't have time and they don't believe. And part of my job in reframing is to give you hope and give you something to believe in, again, when you feel stuck and lost and confused. And so this has been the most amazing gift, over the last 1.5 years, that I get to do this. I get to bring people together and, like, reconnect us with humanity, like really listen to people and where they're struggling, really offer them our best ideas without judgment, without any kind of air of ego, and really kind of as much as we can, a pure connection, or the opportunity to see that you're not in that pure connection when you offer that. And then a minute, 1 minute to come back to the person and see, like, what kind of change is here for this person. Are they going to, or are they not? Because reframing is a conscious and deliberate choice to view a challenge from a different perspective. And sometimes we're so stuck in our ways and in our beliefs and what we think is right and what we think is good that we're not willing to reframe. And then we wonder why we're miserable. But it is because you are not letting go of the frame that doesn't serve you and opening yourself up, which is absolutely scary. I mean, fear is scary. It's by definition, it's scary. So, but when we get the courage to overcome our fear, you can see it in that minute. And some people do it and you get very excited, and some people aren't ready, and you send them love and, hope that they will be at some point. So it's a really beautiful process. I do it a lot for organizations because that's just my background. And I do really like when teams work well together. As an entrepreneur, when my team didn't work well together, it was so much stress for me. So, whatever I can do to come in and help people get their teams aligned, focused, navigating in the same direction, vulnerable, clear, open. I mean, this is what the teams get as a result of doing these sessions. That feels great. But then even when I do them for free on Fridays and at retreats and so on, when people bring their more personal challenges, it's so humbling to see how, like, we're all in pain. We all have something that is just not working, and we're not telling anybody, and we're not even able to articulate it, and every single one of us. And so, like, that is really kind of what keeps me doing it again and again.